Oh, of course, I'm getting messages. Hello, everybody. It's Becky here at Aunt Beck's Creations. And today we're going to make little owls that are cuter than this creepy one I made out of the old, whatever that magazine was, work basket. So he's going to hop off over here and he's just going to watch his friend be created. So there we go. I pulled out some brown buttons and some kind of orange and yellow buttons, thinking this could be an autumn project. So these will be the eyeballs. So you're going to need some buttons for eyeballs, but that's in a bit. And then there's fabric. And we're going to do this little inspiration photo. I think this came out of a catalog or something. And I just pulled it out because I wanted to keep this picture of these little owls. Hi, Pam. So that's what we're going to do first is we're going to make some owls with the sewing machine. If you don't have a sewing machine, you can sew them by hand, but you probably won't be able to, keep up with me on the sewing machine. But I'm going to bring it in just a little bit closer. All right, so first thing we're going to need is a pencil and paper. Hi, Joyce. I did want to point out this little owl right here, his wings are made of burlap, and I have this burlap kind of ribbon stuff that I thought I could maybe use this to create him some real rustic wings. So I have some of this pulled out off to the side, and I could even use some twine like this to sew the buttons on, and just knot on the front so he had little thread eyes. But all of that's at the end. The first thing we have to do is draw some patterns. So let's do this little guy here first. I have a selection of just pieces of kind of autumnal. The yellow here is not, but the rest of these could be kind of autumnish. So I'm going to set those aside. So this little owl looks pretty simple. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this pattern on the fold and then cut it out. So I'm not trying to draw the whole thing. So I'm going to fold this over. So if I measure this and the double of it's about 2.5, so it's a little over a 5-inch piece. When I see if I mark this like this and open this back up, from that mark over is almost 5.5 inches. Just an FYI. Hi, Ann. And hoping I'm not getting on any kitty cat or anything. So if we look at this owl here, I'll put it so you guys can see him. We're doing this little guy first. And he doesn't look like he's very tall. So I'm just going to do some indications. I'm going to come up 5 inches and just make a mark from the edge. And I want to make sure I'm leaving about 1/4 of an inch. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw the basic shape of him. And it almost looks like he goes nearly straight across here. And then his little horn comes up and then down. And then it looks like he just come down and then just kind of gently round him out like that. But then I want to come out about 1/4 inch from there, and I didn't really leave enough space. And I can kind of eyeball 1/4 of an inch. Got a little fat there, but I am just eyeballing. So you need your piece of paper bigger than that. So about 6 inches to get it the same size as I'm doing here. So I'm going to cut that out. So that's about the basic shape of that one. And I can take this piece here because I'm a little short. If you see, I'm missing the curve. I'm just going to take this scrap of paper and lay it under here. And I'm going to tape it on there. This is how I remedy when I miscalculate. That's double-sided. Just give me this here. So I'm going to put just a piece of tape right here. And then I'll flip the whole thing over and I'll just cut around. And that way my pattern will be whole. Now, if you guys want me to scan this in and put it on my community tab later, I can. And I can kind of put some guideline marks on it. If I put it in as a JPEG, you could just print it off and use it. I can do that if you guys want me to. I'm going to put a little piece of tape back here too. So this is owl number 1. At least that's what I'm going to call him. And this one I think is the simplest because it looks like his beak is almost shaped like a bird, a chicken or something. And it looks like it's just a piece of scrap fabric. So we could use anything cut in whatever kind of beak shape you want. We need to save the rest of our paper for the other owl. All right. So now we need to choose. In the picture, it looks like it's a cream colored, and then they've done that technique that Journey knows how to do. I'm not sure exactly what she does, but she puts something on it to make it look aged. I'm just going to use this, I think. If it's wide enough. It's not wide enough. Okay, back to there. I really wanted something brown. I have this. Maybe we can figure out how to age it a bit. And I'm just going to cut 2 of these. Cut 2. 1/4 inch seams. And we'll leave him open on the bottom between here. Leave this open when you sew it. I'm putting all these notes on here so we'll know later. All right. I don't usually do this where I usually will fold it different, but to save on time, we're going to go straight on. Bring Mr. Hedgehog over. I'm just using a piece of printer paper, fabric, buttons, a sewing machine. I did have the burlap because this one that we're doing now in the picture, it looks like he has burlap for wings, and they're not even sewn on. They used cute little gold safety pins, which I had, but mine aren't as small as the ones they had. But this is what I have, so this is what I'm going to use. So I'm just going to see if we can turn one out that looks kind of like the one in the picture. I've already loaded my machine up with a cream thread because I figured that would go with all of this fabric I had chosen. Excuse me. I need fabric shears, but I don't keep it this table because this is the craft table and I don't want to accidentally use my fabric scissors. Normally when I cut things out, I put the fabric right sides together, but I'm just going with what's here. All right. I'll look at chat here in just a second. I didn't look to see what they used for eyes on him. Let me look. Oh, buttons, the buttons. And he's got a couple miniature pumpkins on his head. I don't have anything like that. We'll have to think of a way to give him a little decoration on his head, I guess. I'm going to put this pattern on my community tab later, but I can give you guys some quick measurements so you can kind of see the shape of him. So he is going to be at his cheek point or at the midway bottom, including the 1/4 inch seam allowances. He's 6 inches across. And then from the bottom to the top of the tip of his ear, he's 6 inches. So he's 6 inches from bottom to the top of the tip of the ear or whatever that's called, and 6 inches across. And in the center where I had my paper folded, that part is 5 inches. So that means his little ear things are 1 inch tall. Is that enough information? So he's 6 inches this way. And then from the tip of the ear down to the bottom, he's 6 inches. And then his little ears are 1 inch tall. And he's 5 inches in the middle. 5 inch center. From there to down to the bottom. All right, I'm going to put this right sides together now, and I'm going to stitch around him. On the bottom, I'm leaving a opening about 2 3/4 inches wide, 2 3/4. You can go smaller if you are ambidextrous enough and you don't want to hand sew as much. To me, that's not much to hand sew. So I need to take the pattern off. So I'll just scan this in just like this and put it in as a JPEG so you guys can print it off. And so now I need these right sides together like this. I should have my little iron going. I should plug that in real quick. So I'm going to go off screen here for just a minute and stitch around this. And I will be right back. And remember to leave that opening on the bottom. I'm going to get my little iron out too while I'm over there. I actually got a new wool pressing mat last month. So I got that right there. All right, hang on. I've got my regular iron here. I can just use it. It's quicker to get to. And I will turn this on. And I have the same iron that Pam has that she got at Walmart. So I'm going to be careful and not set anything on fire. It does get pretty darn hot. And I'll show you what it looks like after I stitch around. Oh, and when you're beginning to stitch around, make sure you do a few stitches in reverse to lock it in so that when you're turning your owl right side out, you don't pull his guts apart. I mean, his body apart. And I'm just lining my presser foot up with the edge of the project. Leave your needle down in when you're turning around these corners, and then lift your presser foot and just move it a little bit, and then sew a little bit. Leave your needle in the fabric and up. For anybody that's never sewn before, if I had a way to move you back and forth, I would, but I don't. So this is the best I can do, is tell you what I'm doing. But you always want to make sure the needle's in the fabric when you do any movement on the fabric, because then you'll get all off track if you don't. And for the tip of the ear, get to the top and remember to stay about a 1/4 inch away from the tip. Put your needle down in and then turn the whole thing to change directions. We sure are having a lot of traffic today. Almost there. So I'm going to bring everything back over to you guys. So here we go. We'll just stick those back in there. So you can see I've stitched around, started here and went up and around. Now before you turn it right side out, the thing lays better. So I'm real close to the stitching without going through it, and you just kind of take his points away. And everywhere there's kind of a curve, you're going to want to put just a little snip to the stitching, not through the stitching, but to the stitching. So like up here at the ears, I'm going to put 3 snips, one close to the ear, one kind of in the corner, and then one back around to where it starts to straighten back out. This releases the tension and makes it lay smoother. And you're going to put some little clips where it's curved here, so it'll be a nice smooth curve. I'm putting these about every 1/4 inch. And I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 little snips, about a 1/4 inch apart. You don't want to snip through where you've just sewed, or you'll be making a hole. It's not liking this at all. All right, so I did the snips. Now I'm going to turn him right side out. Hi, Ruth. Hi, Safia. Hi, Carol. See, if you leave too small of a hole, then it has a tendency of wanting to pull out along the edge. That's why you should always do a reverse stitch. And I have a little bamboo stick, a turning stick. Hang on just a sec. Let me get it. It's actually came with some stuffing one time, but it works really good for this too. It was in a bag of stuffing, but if you had chopsticks that weren't real sharp at the end, you could use something like that. Okay, that's there. And I'm going to put this in here and get his ears nice and pokey once I get them out here. Oh, and you need fiber fill. I should have mentioned that. Hi, Gail. So here's our little boxy headed owl. Mine's a little fatter, I think, than the one in the picture. And I'm just kind of pushing to see if I can get that. I might have needed to trim a little bit more away. Just gently push. Don't try to really shove on this, because what'll happen is your stick will poke right through and then you'll have a hole to deal with. There, that's pretty good. You want to just gently ease it into shape. And I'm not pushing real hard because I don't want to push through it. Just gentle prodding. The fabric will behave eventually. All right. Let's kind of poke a little bit on his curves down here. Kind of work around. Now, I'm gonna just stuff him now. So I just have a huge bag of polyfill here on the floor. And the key to a really good stuffing, especially if you're going into his ears, use little pieces. Don't try to do this and shove it in there and expect it to fill an area, especially a small area. You have to use little pieces. Okay? So if we take and we put this in, we just kind of get it inside there and then get it where you want it to go. And then you take the little stick or whatever you have and just kind of push it up in there. And just keep adding little teeny bits, not a whole bunch. You can get crazy with the great big amounts when you're in the big open area. But when you're trying to fill in noses or places like that, it's better to use small amounts and then kind of push them in. You want this firm, but not so tight that you're starting to see your stitches. That means you've pushed too hard. You know, you don't want your seam to start opening up. So I don't know if you guys want to make both of these little owls, or we'll just make this little owl today, and then maybe we'll make the other one next week. And that way we can get to playing Janet's little game. Maybe we could do an owl a week for September. And then at the end of the month, we could have a little tray of owls. I think that sounds like more fun than trying to do a bunch in one day. So this might be the owl for August 31st. So we'd be making, what, 4 owls? I'm up for that if you guys are. And what I might do for future is I might draw the patterns out and put them on my community tab. And then you guys would have the patterns. Hi, Shannon. You would have the patterns ahead of time. So you'd know how much fabric to scrounge and that kind of thing. But this pattern, because I didn't think it through, it'll go up after I get off. Again, little bits. And some people even say you should kind of pull it apart and open up the fibers so you can then pack them in tighter. But you'll get to where you know how to make your fiberfill work for you? See, it's starting to get a little firm. I'm going to start working on his other ear now. You see, some people say do that and then put it in. We'll get up into his other little ear. This little owl's going to be a little chonker owl. I guess we could just randomly scrub him with ink. Does anybody know how to get that aged look quickly on fabric? I know Mary would say use your walnut stain, but I don't have any. I don't have any walnut stain. Has anybody else ever done stuffed animals and dolls and that kind of thing? What about amigurumi, crocheted animals? Has anybody done those? I have a book on little fat cats that I'd like to make. Work on some little fat cats. I actually made it to Joann's today, and I found the fall or autumn issue of Quilts and More. We might peek at it, and I might do You Treat Fabric with Coffee. Fat cats are up your alley. My grand kitty Piper, she's the fattest one we have because all she does is eats and sleeps. And because she and my cats don't get along, she stays out in the bonus room for the most part. Howard's a big boy, but he's big all over. And all he does is eats and sleeps. Occasionally gets zoomies at like 1 o'clock in the morning for some reason. Piper showed him how to. He watched her come in one time and she went to the kitchen cabinets when she wanted attention from Greg, and she opened the kitchen cabinets. So now Howard thinks that's the best game ever. You have a set to make something in amigurumi. I made, if you missed it, was it last Christmas or the Christmas before that I made the baby Grinch that I crocheted? I really enjoyed that project. And I love the little Grinch. He's in with the Christmas decorations. He'll come out at Christmas. So I've got my ear bits pretty packed, except for this side. Once I get them good, I'll just start shoving some of this in. Of course, I can't put a lot at once because of the size of the hole. But my creepy owl will go along with these owls, and I'll stick them all in a basket together. Use them as a decoration for the autumn. The cats will probably pull them out and take off with them. It was the funniest thing when I made those pattern weights out of the fabric and rice. Callie thought they were kittens, and she was dragging them around the little house when we lived up there. All right. I could pack these tighter, but they're standing up okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start filling his body up. It doesn't matter if I shove thread in there too. It's all stuffing it. I wonder if there's some coffee left in the coffee pot that I could just like paint on him and let it set. We might check into that once we get him full. Cats they're psycho though sometimes. But we do love our kitties. We love Bernadette too, but we're more cat people than we are dog. Not that we don't like dogs. It's just, some people are more cat people than dogs. And some people are more dogs than cats. And that's okay, because we can all love what we want. That's all there is to it. You wouldn't think this would take very much polyfill, but he's going to be one fat little owl by the time I get him filled up. I'll shove some around in this corner to get his bottom going here. And you can't really tell from the picture if he had, like another piece for the bottom. But I think this will be okay to, stick in a basket. You were a dog person until you got a cat. Gail's allergic to cats. Well, that's a lot of reasons some people settle for dogs over cats because of the allergies. And can't blame you there. I wouldn't want to have something around that made me feel horrible all the time. He's getting there. That's a good idea too. I kind of like the idea. See, I think if Journey was here, Journey does a technique to the critter she makes, but I don't know what she does. But I think it involves paint. I think. I'm going to shove this in with this pokey tool. Sometimes you get these tools in with the polyfill. It'll say free stuffer or something like that on the bag. So if you happen to see a bag of polyfill with that in it, I would grab it because this little tool is kind of handy. Yeah, I think 1 owl a week is plenty. Because I got to hand stitch him up and we've got to put eyes. And I'm just going to pin his wings on. Yeah. But Charlie's been really poorly for a long time, so he's in a better place. And I know Barb knows that. But it is hard when you lose a beloved pet. It really is. See, I should have pushed more. See how it's backing out of his ears a bit? I'm getting him filthy off this table, but that's okay because that'll give him the aged look. I think there's some ink or something on the table. Just keep shoving this up in there. It's getting there. We had a cat named Sonny that we had from our honeymoon on, and he lived 17 years. And then we said we need to take a break. And then we adopted a cat from a rescue, and she had been there for like 3 years. And she basically reached out and grabbed Scott on the shoulder and said, "Hey, I want to come home with you." And her name was Tara. And after we got Tara, we had Tesla, and he was a little orange kitten that we got from a friend of mine. Her cat had kittens in the horse barn, and she said, "You got to come and get them because they're getting under the horse's feet, and one of the kittens has already been killed." So we went and we picked Tesla up and brought him home, and we had him for a long time too. I don't remember how long we had him. And then Greg brought home Nikki, he watched somebody throw that kitten out from a moving vehicle, and he stopped and picked him up, and he was polydactyl. He had thumbs, and he was long hair, and he was such a sweet boy. They were two orange buddies for a long time, and then Nikki died, and then wasn't long after Tesla died. And then we got Piper for, I think there was some other cats that in between there, but I don't know. But it's hard to remember when you just keep adopting. But then the cottage kitties showed up, but before them, we had gotten Piper for Greg because we were moving away and leaving Greg here by himself. I know he was in his late 20s or early 30s at the time, still living at home, but I didn't want him to be here completely alone, so I got him a kitten, and that's Piper. And then the cottage kitties adopted us up in Greenville, and Cole just showed up on the back porch, and these three cats didn't really care for Cole, so I brought Cole down here to be company for Piper, and it took them a long time to tolerate one another. Still need more. And that's where we are today. And Nettie says Tippy is her cat that lives with me. Right now it's the sleepy hour. I see Howard and Callie, but I think Tippy is following Scott around. My goodness, this took a lot more polyfill than I thought, because I want him to be right firm. Because if you don't put enough in, he'll go flat on you real quick. I think I want a little bit more. Yeah. Piper was just really mean to Greg because she got lonely. So that's the whole reason we brought Cole down here, so she'd have somebody. And they got along. They get along okay now. Every once in a while, I'll catch them laying next to each other and grooming each other. So they got along eventually. It wasn't smooth sailing at first, but they came around to one another. And that's one thing I like about cats is they're not as needy as dogs. Dogs seem really needy. All right, I am going to kind of tuck the 1/4 inch part inside, and I'm going to get some of my clips and clip that, and then I got to hand sew it, so I'll have to get some thread. So I'm just going to tuck that in, pull the seam together, and put a clip on it. If you pull it, get your seam and pull it, it'll close. And then all you got to do is put your clips on to hold it in place, and then it's easier to sew. You just can't pull on it once the clips go on. I'm only going to put this one on temporarily. All right, so there's those. I have a needle here. That one's awful big. That one's perfect for that, but I need a smaller one. And I got the iron all started, and then I didn't press the fabric. I just started stuffing. So I'm going to turn this iron off. And there's a needle. And I'll get a length of thread off from here. That's probably enough. And to keep it from knotting, I'm just going to use some of this ancient beeswax cake that was my grandmother's. I figure I might as well use it, even though it can't be replaced. She would rather I was using it. And you just draw it through wax once. You don't have to go and go and go. You want enough wax on it so that it's not going to knot up on you. And then I just wrap the thread around my finger and then roll a knot into it. Of course, I got to get it to where it'll roll. There we go. And then pull to the end. Okay, so there's a knot on there. And I like to hide the knots inside the seam. So I'm going to take this clip off and go in between the two seams and kind of hide this knot down inside it. Tuck that in. And then I'm just going to kind of whip stitch it closed. It's hard for you to see when I just take a little stitch on one side and then I jump to the other side of the seam and take a little stitch on the other side. Maybe about 1/8 of an inch little stitch. Kind of have to pay attention to what I'm doing. I'll look at chat in just a minute. I'm kind of stretching this back, taut when I go to put the stitch in. I'm pushing on each side of the owl so that the seam lays flat. My eyesight isn't as good as it used to be, but it should look okay when I'm done putting these little stitches in. The Quilts and More the projects, a lot of times the projects that are in the magazine, I search the magazine out because I just like to read it. And it's only available on newsstands. And Joann's always buries it. So I looked and looked today. I pulled magazines out because their magazine display, quite frankly, sucks because you can't see all the covers of the magazines. And then they wonder why they don't have very many sales. Nobody wants to work that hard to find a magazine they're looking for. They need to just move it somewhere where they can spread the fixturing apart, because it's like three layers deep, but they're one in front of another. Okay, so I'm going to tie a knot. So I put a little bit of a stitch through one side of my fabric, and then I'm just going to wrap this around like 3 times, pull it tight to the fabric, and then pull my thread up. And then I hide this inside. So I just stick it in, come out any old where. Pull it tight, and then off close to the fabric, and it'll hide up inside the fabric. There we go. There's my little bit I sewed shut. Hard to see. You can see a little bit of my stitches, but not too badly. All right. Let me put this sewing needle back in the box. So we need a little piece of fabric for a beak, which I probably needed the sewing needle for. So what color beak? Look, here. Here's the color choices. And they have a little blue check like this, kind of check for his beak. But do we want to do a different color? You guys choose. Hi, Mary. What color beak? And the reason I'm leaning toward one of these homespuns is they won't fray. They fray, but it'll be better than these. And so I was leaning toward one of these. And if I give him brown eyes, I'm leaning toward a piece of this. And it looks like they just have a little random shaped nose on him. So I ask you, and now I'm going to do exactly what I want to do. Yes, it's a blue beak in the picture. Little blue and cream and blue check fabric chicken looking shape. So I'm going to do him a little beak like this, maybe bigger beak than they expected him to have. And just stitch him down. If you don't want to stitch it, you could glue it. And then they've got it like this, and it looks weird. I'm going to make it so it looks like, at least looks a little bit like a beak. Let me get my thread back that I just put away. So I'm going to hide the knot underneath. Well, maybe not. Maybe not, because that knot just wants to pop right through that homespun. Let's try a bigger knot. Maybe not pull so hard. Oh, I like that position right there. This little fat guy could make a good pin cushion too. And again, this will probably fray some over time, but it's just a decoration. It's not like he's meant to be, you know, dragged all over the house. And he needs eyeballs, so we'll have to get a couple big buttons for eyeballs. I do have brown stays on ink. I could just rub the pad on him here and there and give him a vintage look. I could do that. Once we get done with this goofy owl, we'll play a Janet game, a Janet prompt game with just 6 prompts. Uh-oh. Got a little close to the edge. And I think I will sew his eyes on with some of that twine. All right, so that's all I'm going to do to sew his eye on. And I am going to overlap the buttons with his beak a little bit here. So I'm going to bring my knot over here and just tie it on the side because it'll be hidden behind the button. And I wrap about 3 times, pull it down tight to the fabric, and then pull my needle out. And then we'll hide this in there again. Snip. All right, so while I'm looking for buttons, I'm going to go, first I'm going to stain him a little bit with my Stays On ink. Let's see. Stays on, stays on, stays on. I have Timber Brown. Hi, Jeannie. So I'm just going to rough him up here and there and make him look a little older than he is. Oh, I don't like how that did, but too late now. Give him kind of a vintage feel. All right. That grunged him up a little bit. While that's setting up, we'll pick him out some eyes. Sounds kind of creepy, picking out eyes. All right. So what I had thought is they don't show a layered eye, but I thought it could be cute to do like orange centers on. Let's see. dig around in here and see if we can come up with a couple that are the same. I think all my little trays are full of stuff, so I can't dump them out. That one's even different too. Come on, just one that's the same as the ones I already got. Oh, that one's small and cute though. Oh, there's another one just like that. If I don't dump it back in. Quit going to the bottom. There we go. So we got those. Now let's find some brown buttons that have 2 holes. Of course, it could be a 4-hole that we could just line up. And see, I was thinking, oh, that's not big enough. He needs bigger eyes than that. Something more that size. Whoo! I really like that great big one. That we could almost put all of those on. Oh. That looks cute. Let's do that. And I might have to use the regular thread because I don't think the twine will fit through those holes. Hi, Janet. You put my buttons back. Clean as you go, then you don't have a mess later. What's Nettie doing? 2 different colored eyes. Nettie, the wild woman. They are a little different shades. So there's that one. And that one. And that one. Now the trick is going to be, all right, I have to go back through that hole, then the one across from that one, and across this one. Might be easier to bring the button to the needle than the needle to the button. Now the fun part. Trying to get this where I want it. And I got to go through those holes a couple times at least to get them to. This is going to be interesting. Oh, that went easier than I thought it would. Oh, not through his beak. I wonder if 2 times I'll hold it. I mean, it's just for a decoration. It's not like, of course. Let's see if I can do one more. Oh, I got it through. I'm using a combination of 2-hole buttons and 4-hole buttons, so I'm really surprised that I'm making it through Uh-oh. Where is it? There we go. Whoops. Not there. Ow. Come on. All right. That's going to be good enough. And now I'm going to go under his beak through the fabric here. Come out on this other side. Oh, come on. Let's see if I can do it again. So there he is so far. And go through the back. This one's two, it's different buttons, but it's going to have to do. Now I've got to go back down through the orange, across from this one, and across from this one. I don't think these are going to fall even, but it don't matter. He'll be quirky, won't he? Now we got to go through the fabric a little bit here, underneath here. I just thought it would be fun to start working on some autumn projects because it's going to be here before we know it. The leaves are falling off our oak trees already out front. Howard's been laying in the basket watching the leaves fall. It's so funny because his head bobs the entire time the leaf is falling to the ground, which I find absolutely hilarious. I'm trying to catch just a little bit of the fabric and then come back up through the buttons and down through the buttons at least 3 times so that his eyeballs don't fall off. But finding all those holes is the real job. And I'm going to go back down through here. See if I've got enough to tie me a knot underneath here. Oh, I don't have quite enough, do I? 1, 2, 3. Pull it down tight to the fabric, pull a needle out, and there's a knot tied. Yay! And then I'll just hide the thread in, pull it taut so it'll pop back inside. Boop. There we go. Now he just needs his pinned on wings. We can say the owl is done for today. And we'll do a different owl next week. And again, I will put this funky pattern on my community tab after we sign off. Okay? So let's get some of this quirky bit here. I know why that looks like that. That's where I was trying to do something with my little exploding canvas I shared yesterday. I was trying to hide the lights inside burlap, and I actually managed to do it eventually. All right. And this is going to fray like crazy. So let's just cut some squares. There's no wire in here, I don't think. No. I'm just going to cut a square like that. I'm going to flip this over and cut another square about the same size. And then put my sewing scissors back over here so I don't accidentally use them on paper. And then I was thinking, what if we take this and, because remember his wings are just pinned on. That looks kind of like a wing, doesn't it? Maybe put it on this side. All right. I'm fan folding this, like this. And then I'm just going to pin it on here. trying to see which way it lays better. Maybe if I put the safety pin in it, I can get a hold of it. You're welcome. But it'll take me a minute to get it put on there. But I will definitely put the little hand-drawn thing on there. All right, so I'm going to put his wing on about eye level. Pin it on. See if I can wrestle it around here and get it. And it shows in the picture that they used even smaller safety pins, but I'm using what I have. So there's one little wing. I really wanted all this at the front of the wing, but I might have to dig out some fray check and just put a little bit here and up in here to hold these threads on here. But we'll see. All right, so I did it like this. That goes under, over, and up like that. These are going to be a little on the quirky side. I think I got these gold safety pins at like Dollar Tree or Dollar General. But it was Dollar General. A lot of people call it the General Dollar down here. Just pin it into his head or body, whatever. And I'm just doing the best I can to get it pinned on here. I'm not worried about it being real straight or anything because he's a quirky bird. There we go. There's our first little owl. And again, he's not going to stand up. So he'll join my quirky work basket owl. So we'll make another owl next week. So we'll do an owl each Wednesday through September. All right. So those two can go watch over here while we do our Janet prompts. And I'm going to leave this where I remember to scan it. And I just need to do a quick cleanup and get things out of our way here. And for the next thing we're going to do, you just need general, art journal-y type things. And I'll save this in my book for next week's owl pattern. And I'll do the owl pattern up before we go live. And I will be putting that owl pattern in this book along with this stuff. This is my yarn needle. Let me put that back over here. All right, I'm going to put all this fabric and stuff in a project bag so we'll have it for other owls. Or in just a Ziploc bag, that'll work. This Ziploc bag was used before for a crafty project. We can use it again. And everything will be put together in a bag. This is owl ready. All right, so I was going to do random.org, but instead I think I'm just going to get you guys to pick 6 numbers between 1 and, hang on, I think it's 55 if I remember right. Yeah, 55. So I just need call out some numbers between 1 and 55. And I'll write them down here. And we'll do more owls throughout September. And we'll just leave that on my card so I can find it. All right. Okay. Mary's got one out there. Let me get my pen here. I got 51, 16, 29, 2. 1, 2, 3. We need 2 more. Yes, Mary, you should do that. 54 and 6. 54 and 6. That's 6, right? All right. So now you guys need to grab a pen and paper so you can write them down, because we're not going to do them in this order. We're going to do them in the order that flows better. So I'm going to tell you what they are, and then we'll reorganize them. All right. So prompt 51 says, make a cluster. Prompt 16, 16 says moss. 29, add your favorite word. Add your favorite word. Then number 2 says scrape paint. Number 54. 54 says sunshine. And 6, add a sloth. See, that's where you have to be careful with the Janet prompts. All right. So now pick another number. Actually, I could just, well, we've already done that one. Let's see. Pick another number between 1 and 55, and that'll give us the quote we're going to put on our page. Because I have quotes in here that I've been collecting for painting rocks. But the first number that pops up between 1 and 55, that's the quote we'll stick on our add a sloth. Slow-moving animal. Sloth. 18. Our quote will be, it all begins and ends in your mind. What you give power to has power over you if you allow it. That's the quote. So we're going to do a project, and you can mix these up any way you want them, or you can follow me along. There is no alternate. You can change how you think about these. You can change sunshine to mean yellow, or whatever sunshine might mean to you. I'm probably going to draw a sloth. I'll look up a little picture or something. So I'm going to write this down. It all begins and ends in your mind. What you give power to has power over you if you allow it. So that's the prompts. And so I'm thinking I was going to do a journal page, but we could technically just create a cluster using this stuff. So what I'm thinking is make a cluster is going to be what I do instead of a journal page. This is how I'm working it. You can decide to do it any way you want to, but I'm going to make a cluster And I will stamp out my favorite word or whatever. And then I'll create some papers with the paint and the scrape paint and sunshine. And then I can top it with the sloth and some moss, which I just bought moss. So I'm going to make a cluster containing this stuff. So all I need to do is pick this stuff up that fell down. And I'm going to grab a piece of book paper. Let's see what I've got here in my scraps of book papers. That's what I'll do. Because I'm just going to make a cluster using Janet's prompts. So I've got some of this paper that Beth had sent me that's got the Braille on it. If you have an image of a sloth that you can use, I actually have duct tape with sloth on it. This piece of file folder has nice structure, so I'm thinking maybe that could be the base to my cluster. Let's see if I can make this work. So if I put sunshine, put some sunshine down on this piece, and I'll just spread it around with my finger. I may or may not use this whole piece of yellow. I'm just creating a piece here. This could make a cute card front. I mean, you could do a cluster and then put it on to something else. So this will be my sunshine. I'll set that aside to dry. And this other one says scrape paint. So I got scrape paint on this one. So what is the complementary color to the yellow? What would that be? I wonder if I've got anything else that has a sloth. I ordered the duct tape with the sloths on it so I could send things to Nettie. Oh, goodness. Let's do this. Where's this here? Go to yellow. Woohoo! The key color is yellow. Complementary is violet. So I'm going to scrape some violet on here. This is brilliant purple, but it'll have to do. And I'm scraping it on Braille paper. Let's see if this works. You could also scrape on something else over a stencil or something if you wanted to. I'm going to leave it just like that because I did the scraping. I could make it go solid, but I don't want to. I wonder if I could stick one of the little sloths on a piece of paper and cut him out. That's why in Janet prompts, you just never know. No, I'm not giving any alternates. I'm going to make y'all stretch your brains. All right, so basically I'm making a cluster. I have sunshine and I scraped paint. So I need my moss, a favorite word, and the sloth. I might just draw a sloth. I got this moss for my exploding box project. I'll put a piece of that moss on there. So I have moss. I haven't put this together yet. Add your favorite word. I'll do nature. And I'm going to stamp it on a edge of a book paper. Let's see what we've got in here. Add a favorite word. Don't jump up, Tip. It's wet paint, honey. You'll be covered in wet paint. Move along. Now, if the yellow is too intense or whatever, we can cover it with gesso. I might make this into a card and send it out. Who said the quote? I have no idea. It didn't have, it did not have the person that wrote it with it. I got it off Pinterest. Go on, Tippy. You have food. Kind of wanted this to just be a real quick project today because we've been on an hour and a half already. All right. So N. Might have to just type it in and see if Mr. Google Pants can find it for us. Tippy is stomping. He's very dissatisfied with me all of a sudden. I love these little alphabet stamps you can get at Michael's, or used to could get them at Joann's too. If you have a label maker, you could just use a label maker. T. U. R. And E. Scott's telling him he's a good boy even when he's bad. All right. I'm just going to tear this off. I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine and just kind of sew it on right like that. Right across there. Okay. So there's that. Let's knock the yellow back now. Add your favorite word. I'm going to put some moss on there. And so add a sloth. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to take some gesso and just knock my sunshine back a little bit. And Lori says she went a little rogue with the owl, which is perfectly acceptable. It's your owl. He has to live at your house. Right? So I'm going to knock this back with gesso, which my gesso has done something freaky, you guys. Look at this. It's kind of like rubberized. And the reason I'm using the gesso is that word is printed on white paper and it smells. That's a little less harsh. And I think I might stamp on it too. So this is where I go rogue and I do what I need to bring these in line where I want them. And I can see a card coming together now. So I'm going to stamp on the sunshine with a background stamp. And since we're going to have a sloth on it, what if we do some tree limbs? And I'll just use this Stays On ink. I just use a piece of foam when I'm stamping because you get a better result. And I still got to get my quote on here. Apparently I've never used Stays On with this stamp before. So now it'll be stained like everything else. And it doesn't have to be a perfect stamp. I may pick up some of that because that gesso probably wasn't dry. Yep, pick some of it up. So I just have a faint. Probably should have dried that first. Get as much of that paint off from here as I can. There's Susan Gerald. Oh, Greg's back, Tippy. He's going to get you. He's going to get you. All right, so if I put this along in here somewhere, we'll put some moss on this. I'm going to make a card. Maybe I'll put the sentiment inside. So let's see, what can we do for the sloth? Maybe I can print off a little sloth. Let me see what I can find real quick. I don't have one that's handy. Oh, he's cute. Oh, it's on Unsplash. Oh, nope, Tippy, nope. Got it. Okay, good. Unsplash, now you're going to make me look through everything for the picture I want. What is wrong with you? Where's the little picture that I wanted? There it is. It took me to Unsplash and, oh. Well, poop. I thought they were free to use, but apparently not. Okay. Well, we might have to just draw one. These images are a pain in my neck. Stop, Tippy. Just go to the kitchen. You don't need me to go with you. Go. These are awful tiny sloths. See? It's a little sloth. Well, it's going to force me to draw a sloth. I can tell already. I'm thinking. Nope, that's not it. All right. I'm working on it, guys. Thinking. This might be the weirdest thing I've ever done. But we'll see. Need a picture to look at. I could look at my duct tape. But they're awful small. Do, 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 do. I hate when Greg pulls up in the yard and then just sits there with the car running and sits in the car. I don't know why it irritates me so badly, but it irritates me really badly. This is awful. Yeah. I'm just not feeling sketching today, so it's just not coming to me. I have to be in the mood to do that kind of thing. I just can't see it well enough. Oh, I don't know what he's doing. Smoking his vape pen because I won't let him do it in the house. I think they're just as vile as cigarettes, if not worse, because it leaves a chemical taste in your mouth. Ugh. Maybe I'd do better with a cartoon animal. Oh, you guys, I'm struggling. Move, Tippy. Let's try this again. I can't do lifelike, so maybe I can do cartoonish. Let's try cartoonish. And I can't see chat because I'm off in Never Never Land over here. I just don't like hearing the car run. I don't know what I guess I'm just irritable today. Maybe. I'll be back with you guys in just a second. Tippy, stop. All right, I don't know what he's going to look like. I will be going in with a pen in a minute, but that's going to have to do it for right now. All right. So, let's see what I can find. Tippy, you're being a royal pain in the patoot. Go see Daddy. Let me get a watercolor brush. I'll be right back. Water would be good too. Your cat's being a pain in the butt.
It's my fault. I'm not even that way. Hey, buddy. Hey, little fella.
I see you got through, even though I slammed the door. All right. I don't know if this is a watercolor brush, but I'm gonna make this work somehow. These are just the little palettes that I put together from some thrifted watercolor paints. So Mom and I were using these. So let's see what look I have here. I've never done watercolor in front of anybody. So woohoo. Y'all are getting first chance at it. I guess Tippy's finally caught the clue that I'm busy. I don't have a paper towel handy to take off some of this. And so it may contain pencil lines, at least the ones that are locked underneath the picture. Y'all are getting a very unique sloth here. He may or may not look like a sloth when we're done. Just saying. Let's see here. Well, this is him so far. Does it look like a sloth at all? Probably not. I'm trying. this. Bring it down here. So this is all going to be kind of a little cluster here in a minute. Do y'all want me to add it to a card, and I can give the card away? Because I can pop it in an envelope. Oh, I need a towel. It'll probably be dry before I get back to the towel. Pick up some. Okay, I got it in time. Whoop whoop. This feels very Tamish. Tam Laporte. Feels very Tamish. I think I will just kind of make this into a little card of sorts. Like a little art card that can be popped into an envelope and sent to somebody. I won't make it into a greeting card. I can print the quote and have it on the side. So you could stick it in next to this somewhere if you wanted to. Actually, I want those a different color. Yeah, I don't think I have just one single favorite word. I like nature, so that's why it got stuck on here. I want to take some of this bluish green, scoop up some of this. And then I need a pink. This is an amazing red right here. I don't need a lot. Come on, let go with the paint. Here we go. That gave me a pink. All right, he needs to dry. Mary's favorite word is triumphant. All right, I'm going to let him dry some, but there he is. And I'm going to go in with a big pen and do the doodling like stuff that like Tam does. And she also will add things like splatters to hers, which adds a really neat effect when it dries. So I'll let that dry. I have my heat gun here if you guys don't mind if I grab it and use it real quick. It does better if you let it dry on its own, but whatever. So this is just a cutesy little thing. I need to set this somewhere to dry open. Okay. I really want to do something with this to tie all this together. Because see, then our little guy needs to go on here too. The yellow is so yellow. It's a yellow fellow. There goes my mailman. Let's see, what can we do to kind of knock this back? I really like him. That yellow is just so intense, isn't it? Suggestions? See, he looks great over here when he's just on purple, but this yellow is so out there. I almost feel like it needs something else. Maybe the moss, when I put the moss on here, I like leaving the threads because that's something our buddy Journey does. She leaves the threads. I really don't like that this is here. Maybe if I tear that off. Tearing manila folder is not easy. I want to tear it away from what I want to keep. Oh, that makes me happier already. Just getting that so it's not straight. Maybe that's what it needs up here too. Keep tearing, I won't have any of it to worry about, right? Oh, I like that better. Like that. I don't know, Barbara. I did get a message from somebody, and I thought I sent it, but maybe that was somebody different. I'll check it. I'll check when I get off from here. Thank you. Let me finish his doodling. Maybe that'll give my brain time to think of what I want to do next. His snout makes me think of the Care Bears. I need to look and see what his feet look like on that picture. And then I would love it if somebody else has drawn a sloth. I'd love to see your sloths. We could have a sloth conference in pictures. This makes me think I need to study animals more and start a sketch pad that's just for sketching animals. It's the only way you get better at them is if you sketch them more often. Then you don't have to go and look for a picture. You can visualize it after you've practiced it enough. I think my fellows are getting ready for me to be done, I think. That's the downside of them all home. Then you can add some little squiggly gigs here and there. Maybe one coming down this way. Okay. Oh, Johnny Depp, Johnny Depp. Yes, yes, yes. I don't need to be notified of everything the poor man does. Anyway. There's actually little hairs come off like this. And they had more little hairs, but you know what? Mine's going to be a little bit hairless. Oh, and then the foot pads had a little section with pink in it right down on the bottom. And then it has little claws come up. They do have really long nails, sloths do. We have some at our zoo. They like to climb in buckets and lay in buckets all day long. And then they showed some little hairs coming off her arms. Okay, and I see some other things I missed because I didn't peek at the picture. But we can go back. And put a little pink on her foot. And a little pink on her foot. And she had little cheeks. Put a little brownish color in the background. Because they did in the picture that I'm looking at. Okay. I'm going to call her good enough. I'm leaning toward maybe doing a little brownish something to that yellow. Maybe we could edge it with distress ink. All right, what I'm going to do, I've been thinking on this as I've been working on this. I'm going to make a small card that you can tape into a journal, and it'll be this size, and I'm going to type this into my computer and print it off small so it'll fit inside the card that I'm going to make, and that's what I'll give away and send to you, and then you'll have the cluster and the quote, and you can put it in your journal, and I'll sign and date it for you. So if you guys want to put in a number between 1 and 100, that'd be great. And I will create a little card with this little guy on it. And we will do that. And there'll be moss added. I'll put a piece of that moss on there too. So it'll be a dimensional little card. Thank you, Mary. I just bought this moss, so I know once you open it, it goes everywhere if you're not careful. So I'm going to try to be careful. I'll put it inside a Ziploc bag. That's what I'll do after I get a piece out of this. This is the coolest moss. See, look. I could break it down smaller. Maybe down here. That looks cute. It's cute. I can tell the cats would like to get in here. So, yep, that's what I'm going to do after I sign off. All right, is that everybody? Where's my phone? I need my phone to do a random number. So that'll have all of the prompts from Janet, and it'll have the sloth and the quote. It'll have the quote. So that's what we did today. So if that is everybody, I'm going to get us a number. It'll take me just a second. Maybe longer because I can't seem to find Google. And the number is 20. 20. Who's closest without going over? Let's see. Mitz has 8. Ruth is over. Janet's over. I think it's Mitz. So Mitz, it's for you. I'll send you the little card. And the pattern for the owl I will put up in just a little while. Okay? So yay, Mitz. I'll put on here. And I think I have Mitz's address. I'm pretty sure I do. So yay. Ta-da. You get my wonky little sloth. So that is going to do it for me today. That's the 2 hours I'm good for. So yay, Mindy. Yay. And next week we'll do the other owl that's on that page. And I think this one has fabric wings. Let me peek. Yeah, he has fabric wings and he looks like a tombstone. I'm not sure about his nose or his beak. It looks like it's just twine. So that one will be different. So we'll do an owl and something else next week. I just wanted to play a little bit with Janet prompts this week, but we'll do something different next week. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later. Got to go get lunch. Have a great day. Bye-bye.